My name is Martin. I have been studying charisma and communication skills for 3 years straight. I have 30 friends at my local gym. I have a 12-year-old friendship with my best friend, and I have a 1-year-old relationship with my girlfriend with zero arguments. And I have to be honest with every single one of you all, charisma in the entire history of humankind has been never more easier to learn, because in this day and age, everyone is on their phones, always scrolling, and everyone is depressed. So if you just become slightly, just by 5% or maybe 10% more charismatic, people are gonna gravitate towards you in the click of your fingers. People these days are extremely stupid and nobody cares about other people. You have probably seen when you were in a bus or you have been in a mall, there are all of these kids and they usually sit in a group, but none of them are talking to each other. And all of them are just on their phone, like playing some game or just scrolling on TikTok like this. And why we can take advantage of this is because nobody wants to be the initiator these days. And you would be surprised how initiation would get you so many friends like this, because people are waiting for the initiator. And let's be honest, we our entire lives waited for someone to just come up to us and started a very nice and wholesome conversation. But what if you could be the one who would start that conversation? Then you would not need to wait for anyone and you would just take control over your own life. And that's what we need to abuse when it comes to this, because like I've said at the beginning, everyone is extremely depressed. Why is that? Because all the distractions, all the porn, all the vaping, drugs, everything has been more accessible these few years. And that's why social connection has been neglected in their lives, and they are striving for it. Everyone is striving for human connection, because studies have shown that human connection is actually the best cure for depression. If you are lonely, you are much more likely to commit suicide. So if we just have a lot of friends around us, if we have high quality friends, then we will spike our mental health like this. Now that we know why people are depressed, now I'm gonna tell you something very important that I have learned. When I was reading a book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, there was a story that really stuck out with me because it is a really important story. There was a story in that book that said when a person was on a dinner with one of his friends, he thought after he was done talking to him that other person was the smartest man in the room. But when he started talking to Abraham Lincoln made him look like the most smartest person in the entire room. And the lesson that we can take out of this is that people don't care about other people. Genuinely, they only care if other people care about them. And the best way how we can implement this is by talking about a very specific mindset that you need to have. You have to think about yourself as a person that is on a mission to extract as much information from the other human being as possible. Reason for that is because people love talking about themselves, and if they talk and talk and talk, eventually they're gonna think like, whoa, I'm really smart, this person is making me feel so smart. And we can take advantage of that. And you can imagine that after a conversation like that will be over, the other person will come out of that conversation and be like, whoa, this person is, first of all, extremely mysterious, because I was just speaking the whole time and I have not let the other person even speak. And second of all, he was such a good listener. He just understood everything perfectly and he never interrupted me nor judged my beliefs. And that's what we need to do. We cannot go into a conversation like 99%. We have to go into the conversation with intention. Either we go into the conversation to have fun, or we go into the conversation to provide value. Both of these two things are the only ways how you can get a good conversation going. The funny one you can imagine is you're just having fun, you're goofing around, you're not doing anything serious, and you have this vibe of humor around you and around everyone in the same room as you are. But we cannot combine these two conversation styles together. And you might be like, why is that? Because, for example, let's say you try to say something very intellectual in a setting that is very humorous. What will happen is that everyone will start laughing at you. One of the best examples I can give you is that imagine if you were on a party and you said that, did you know that the ant queen can give birth to 5 ants per 1 second? Everyone at that party would say, yeah, like me and your mother last night. That's why those two types of conversations cannot be combined. Once you are in a knowledge and value-based conversations, that's when all of those points might flow really well and nobody is gonna make fun of you because they are listening with serious mind. But on the other hand, the very funny conversation has to be really funny all the time. You cannot just say something very logical in that scenario because everyone is gonna make fun of you. But if you say something very inappropriate in a scenario where everyone is professional and everyone is very serious, they are gonna cringe at you and they're gonna look at you, why did you even say that? So that's why we need to understand when the conversation is which type. And if you don't want to decide which one of these conversations is the best for you, the best mindset I can still give to you is to just listen. I have been for 1 year straight of my 3-year-old charisma journey have been just listening to other people. I was not speaking that much and I did not care about my communication whatsoever. So I dedicated 1 year of my life just to listen to other people and just to get to know them on a much better level. And that's when I realized that suddenly I have so many friends and I was extremely like, why? How did this happen? Because I was not judging other people and I was seeking knowledge from them. You can imagine this as you coming into the conversation and you need to immediately ask a question towards the other person. Because let me show you what will happen if you don't do this. The person who is listening actually has control over the conversation. And you will be like, why exactly is that? Because the person who is listening dictates the pace. That's why if someone is speaking, after they are done finished speaking, boom, immediately you are going with another question. And they have no chance to take control over the conversation and you are immediately asking them first. Remember, conversations are not a game of who is winning and who is losing. But most of the time, the one who is listening is the one winning the friendship, because first of all, remaining mysterious, second of all, he is just listening towards the other person and not judging them and not interrupting them. And that's when the true bond will form, because the rapport building is felt, because that other person is just there like a psychiatrist. And listen, people are paying millions of dollars per year just to get to psychiatrists. So if you can just become one for free, whew, you can imagine how much people will love you. So what really helped me the most is just to go into conversations with the mindset to seek something very interesting from the other person. Because a lot of people have a really good story to tell and you'll be really surprised. Now, recently, just yesterday, I've been talking to this one guy in the gym and I was asking him, yo bro, what are you doing for a living? If I had not asked that question, I would not even know till this day. But he said to me that he made just $2,000 in 60 days by just gardening. He was just clipping roses, and by doing that, he made $2,000. What an interesting insight is that? It's because I asked that question. So if you want to get some random information out of people like this, then ask them about their hobbies. And you'll be surprised how many great things you would learn about a person if you just do this. I have met a lot of people who think they can just read people and they immediately know what this person is thinking. But the best thing that anyone can do is to just ask. You cannot go wrong with asking, because people will 99% of the times reply with honesty and with authenticity, because they love, well, talking about themselves. Now that we have talked about mindset, I'm gonna also give you a strategy that you can use in conversations so your conversations will flow much, much better. Like I've previously said, you are coming into the conversation just to listen to the other person. That's how you get love almost from everyone around you, because the law of reciprocity is extremely real. Once you take care in the other person, you best believe they will care about you also. A lot of influencers will just tell you this one mindset and they will end the video right here, but I want you to truly succeed. That's why I'm also gonna share this strategy also with you. The strategy is to mirror the other person, and this is basically infinite conversation glitch. Because you can infinitely just spike up conversations with anyone on the street. Literally, this is unbelievably powerful. This strategy is called mirroring the other person. I'm gonna exactly show to you how this works, because you need to imagine conversations like a game of hot potato. Once someone has asked a question, suddenly the hot potato is onto the other person. But this strategy leverages this, and this strategy takes advantage of a human psychological hot potato game. Let me give you an example. One person is talking, I have been in a club with my friends. The other person just says, oh, with your friends. Yeah, with my friends, but we had huge trouble getting through that bodyguard because he was extremely big. Wow, extremely big. Yeah, extremely big. And he had this huge gun and he started pointing at us. You see what this person is just doing? This person is just repeating the last words of the other guy's sentences, but this guy for some reason still keeps talking. The reason for that is because our human brain thinks that the other person said something insightful, but in fact, they just repeated the last words we have just said. And that is the mind trick of hot potato in conversations. It's unbelievable how much information and intel you'd get out of people because you have just asked this conversation. For example, I still remember one day I was at the bus with one of my friends and I asked the guy casually, yo bro, what have you been doing? Blah, blah, blah. The conversation went. And then he started talking about nicotine pouches. He started talking about them. And I just asked, where are you getting those nicotine pouches from? Or where are you buying them? And I'm not using nicotine pouches just for everyone else's understanding, but I wanted to spike up the conversation and ask him about himself. So I asked him, where is he getting them from? And I mirrored his last words. He said that, oh, I'm buying them. You are buying them. And then suddenly he started talking about who is he buying those nicotine pouches from. And what is really surprising in that scenario was that I, in that case, knew the person that was selling the nicotine pouches. And I immediately lost a little bit of respect for that person because this person just leaked the information to me. So now I know which guy is selling nicotine pouches to younger children. And that guy was even my friend. And because I knew this information from this other random guy from the gym, now I could literally just cut off this friend out of my life and have a much better life overall. You see how every single knowledge that you gain from other people can improve your life. That's why people who argue, that's why people who try to interrupt, who try to judge other people are just extremely stupid. Because what happens after the conversation is over, they just come out of the conversation and nobody learned nothing because everyone is just arguing and nobody is truly listening. And this information changed my life because now I could just cut the guy off and just live a much greater life because I have just mirrored a simple sentence that my friend in the bus said. That's why the strategy is called mirroring. The mirroring works in two simple ways. The first one I have just explained right now because you will mirror the last words they have just said and you will repeat them. It might be a whole sentence or it might be just one single word. I have been in a forest with a lot of my friends. With a lot of your friends. Yeah, and the huge forest was extremely green, but suddenly what happened? Suddenly a huge bear started chasing us. Whoa, a huge bear, that sounds scary. Yeah, dude, and then we climbed onto this one tree and we stood there for 1 day straight. One day. You see how everything just falls into place like Lego bricks and you can just build and build and build by just repeating what the other person have said. Is that simple. And a very important statistic that really helped me in my own life, and is also the part of the strategy that I keep using, is by talking just 20% of the times and 80% of the times just listening to the other person, asking them questions, mirroring them, and nodding my head just for them to know that I am truly listening. Listening is truly an underrated social skill out there. Everyone wants to learn communication, everyone wants to know body language. Listen, body language is really overrated. I have to be extremely honest, body language is extremely overrated. The only thing that you need to know about body language is that you should do hand gestures, and then you should have your body language open and you should mirror the other person's body language. It's that simple. I have just explained to you the entire synopsis of body language in just 3 sentences. Because people think that they can read people by their body language, but you have to be a professional FBI agent to do something like that. So that's why I don't find it worth it. And I have been studying charisma and social skills for 3 years straight. That's why I truly really don't care that much about body language because I don't believe it's really that important. People say that body language is 90% of what we communicate. It's false. That study has been debunked long time ago. But because you are in this video, I will also share with you the second strategy, and that is mirroring their body language. So for example, if someone is on the table and they have their hand placed like this, you can just mimic their hand placement like this, and you will also lean forward like they will. And also, if someone has hands like this, you can just mimic that. If someone has hands like this behind their back, you can mimic that. If someone is using a lot of the gestures inside the conversation, you can also mimic that. And that is subconsciously gonna build so much rapport that the other person after the conversation will be like, oh, this person is richly like me. I've heard a story from one of my friends, because my friend went into this completely other city and he came back and he said that, oh, I have met this person, he's exactly like me. And I was a little bit skeptical at first, and then I understood what this person was really doing. He was, in 99% of the times, I don't have this fact checked or anything, but if he was really like him, he needed to make him think that he is like him, and in the way that he was mirroring his body language and speaking pattern when he was with him. And people might say this is inauthentic, people might say this is, you are being fake. You cannot look at this as being fake. Either you will be completely authentic and you would have no social skills whatsoever, or you can become adaptable, not fake, not some dishonest motherfucker, just become adaptable in the situations. It is, the word fake is just an over exaggeration, it's a dramatization of the entire adaptability skill. If you see a person, for example, playing on a trumpet his first ever day, would you say, oh, he's playing so fake? Stupid people would say something like that. But in fact, it's just you becoming much more adaptable to the situation that is presented to you. Why some charisma and communication skills experts are so good and why they are extremely good is because they have been in more situations and they have won in those situations. Because you can imagine 99% of people, maybe you are in this category, care what other people think about them. They have social anxiety, they cannot speak with confidence, and they also have shit body language. They don't know how to communicate their ideas properly. When they get into conversation, it extremely gets heated. All of those things I have just mentioned are just few horrible mistakes that people are doing. But because charisma and communication experts are adaptable, they have learned how to conquer every single one of those situations with ease. So just a quick recap of strategy. Mirror the last words or the last sentence that the other person have said, so they will keep talking even further, and then mirror their body language and their hand gestures and also their tonality of voice. If someone is, for example, speaking like this, then you can also, for example, use a funny voice like this. When someone comes up to you and, oh, I'm extremely shy, can you please give me your autograph? Then you also match their voice. And yes, I can give you my autograph, you have it right here. You will not just go and, hey, yeah, bro, I'm gonna give you my autograph. No, I'll give the paper right here. You will meet them where they are right now, and that will build a rapport. When you are talking to children, are you like, today we'll be talking about how you should not play with your toys past 9 p.m. You'll be like, hello kids, today we'll be talking about how you should not play with your toys past 9 p.m. Suddenly you see that huge difference in energy, and people will say this is fake. You are just trying to convey the same message but in a different tonality and melody. That is not fake. And then final recap of strategy. What really helped me the most was talking just 20% of the times, and 80% of the times just listening. After we talked about the strategy, now let's talk about the tactic. The tactic is very straightforward and very simple. Have you ever guessed? Have you ever had this thought? What is one of the things that I can say that is gonna make the other person like me in the click of my fingers? And this is not an over-exaggeration. These things will stay with the other person forever because they will remember it because of how well you have said those things. They made a specific word for this one singular tactic. These things are called compliments. But not just any compliments, because simple compliments can be dishonest, can be really manipulative. What we need to do is to give genuine, honest compliments, but combine them with a joke. I'm gonna share with you two types of compliments, and these two types of compliments are extremely overpowered. None other influencer, any other stupid guru online will share these two with you, because these ones are extremely secretive and I have come up with them myself. So probably they have no idea these things even exist. First one is the compliment with the joke. For example, I have been one day inside a gym and one of my friends started posing really close to my girlfriend, and I said to him, "Yo bro, you are so big, you are even taking my girl's eyes." And first of all, that is really funny, and second of all, that shows that he is so big and he has so much muscles on him. You see, I have combined the humor with also giving a compliment at the same time. And this is one of the most effective ways how you can make someone like you just by saying a simple sentence. And by the way, I was also one day in a gym and I came up to two of my friends, and two of my friends were scrolling on Instagram and they were rating girls' profile pictures and how pretty they are. And I sat next to them, and one of these guys who had his phone up was scrolling through the girls, but he was following me on Instagram. And the second guy saw my profile and he clicked on me immediately and said, this guy, he's the hottest one of them all. Again, a joke combined with a compliment. And I understand this might be really hard to pick up on sometimes. You just need that little bit of creativity in your mind to come up with something like this. But if you can pull off such a compliment, that other person will remember it forever, because you first of all combine it with compliment, and second of all, the most overpowered emotion in our entire human body, and that is joy and laughter. Now that I've covered this one compliment, let's move to the second one, and that is the double compliment. I have just discovered the double compliment recently because I was once in the gym and there was this one very jacked dude. Yes, and by the way, all of my stories are from my gym because that is the best time that I can socialize with others. And this one guy extremely jacked, like such 1% physique, and he was always training with this one trainer. And I have unfortunately not said this to him, but I thought to myself, how can I compliment his physique? And one very important thing came up into my mind. The trainer's name is Matthew. So what if I would say to the other person, your physique is a direct proof that Matthew is one of the best trainers in this entire gym? You see what I did there? I, first of all, complimented his physique, that he looks very good, and second of all, I complimented the trainer at the same time. And yes, again, a really tough situation because you need to compliment two human beings at the same time. You can use also the double compliment to compliment two different behaviors on one singular person. Maybe if someone is going to the gym, you can just say, your weight on that bar is absolutely huge. I think that is the result of you eating so much good protein for the past 1 week. Again, complimented their weight and also complimented their discipline by every day eating protein and hitting their macros every single day. And that is the double compliment. Again, really tough to implement, but it is really useful in social situations if you can pull them off, because you just killed two flies with one stone. You complimented one person and also the other by just a singular sentence. And by the way, because you got this far into the video, I have a very special surprise for you. I have created something that is called social yin yang. Imagine you one day being able to be charismatic, giving compliments to other people and listen towards their ideas with greatness, but on the other hand, being assertive and being respected by other people and stepping over the line and showing your opinion in a very wholesome but in a very respected way. And this is called social yin yang. The charismatic side is the light side and the dark side is you being respected by other people. And if you combine both of these things together, you will achieve social yin yang. and I have created a full program that is about to teach you social yin yang. You get access to me as your charisma and communication coach 24/7, where you can message me for advice whenever you want. You get access to a full community of people who are just like you, who want to improve their social skills and charisma. And further of all, you will get access to 30 plus hours of courses and lectures made by me about charisma and communication skills. And just to make it even better for you, if you see 0 to none results whatsoever in the social yin yang program, I personally will refund all of your money back to you, because if you will not succeed, I don't want your money. So if you're interested in this offer, you can click the first link in the description and you can get into the program right now. And by the way, if for some reason you are still not ready yet, you should click the second link in the description and I will help with you on a 30-minute one-on-one call where I will help you increase your charisma and confidence for free. So if you're interested in that, that's the second link in the description. And by the way, if you want to see the most important lesson that I have learned in charisma through studying it for 3 years straight, you should click this video right here. Live a happy life, man!